Picture yourself in a dim 1347 village, the air thick with the sour stench of decay, your throat tight as fever grips you. Rough straw scratches beneath your trembling body, the distant wail of mourners echoing through muddy streets. The Black Death has come relentless, claiming lives in days. Step into this grim world where the plague, caused by Yersinia pestis in fleas, killed 25 million across Europe and Asia. Per chroniclers like Boccaccio, its shadow silenced towns, leaving only fear and loss. In this soothing journey, we'll explore 6 reasons survival was a feint: hope, ignorance, filth, futile cures, crowded homes, frail bodies, and shattered communities. Historical records paint a world unprepared, where death was a constant companion. Your modern comforts, medicine, sanitation would vanish here, leaving you vulnerable. Settle in, let the gentle rhythm of this tale unfold, guiding you through a lost era. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, picture yourself in a cramped village hut, 1347, where the air is heavy with the sour temps of sweat and sickness. The dim light of a tallow candle flickering, its greasy smoke curling toward the thatched roof. You're a weary villager, your body aching, your neck swollen with painful lumps, buboes. They call them your woolen tunic, damp against fevered skin. The straw beneath you pricks through a thin mat, its musty scent sharp as you shift, hearing the creak of a wooden door. A physician enters, his long robe brushing the dirt floor, his bird-like mask stuffed with herbs, its leather creaking softly. The air around him thick with the bitter scent of rosemary and vinegar. Coarse as he mutters about miasma, bad air causing your illness. A theory rooted in medieval ignorance, per chronicles like those of Gabriel de Mussis. No one knows the true culprit, Yersinia pestis, a bacterium carried by fleas on rats. Per modern studies of 14th century plague pits, this is the world of the Black Death, where medical knowledge was a faint shadow, offering no shield against the plague's wrath. Step into this dim, desperate scene now, and let the gentle rhythm of its tale unfold, revealing why your modern reliance on science would falter in this era of guesswork and prayer. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, you lie on the straw mat, the air thick with the stench of unwashed bodies and burning herbs. As the physician kneels beside you, his gloved hands cool through your tunic, probing the swollen buboes under your arm. The candle's flame sputters, casting shadows on the hut's mud walls, their surface rough and cold. Feel the sharp sting of his lancet, its metal rusty, as he lances a bubo, believing it releases poisoned blood, a practice common in 1347. Per medical texts like Guy de Chauliac's Chirurgia Magna, hear the low chant of prayers from a monk outside, his voice trembling, blending with the distant wail of a neighbor mourning a lost child. Smell the acrid, vinegar-soaked cloth he presses to your forehead, its dampness chilling, meant to ward off miasma, per Boccaccio's Decameron describing futile remedies. Historical records show no one understood germs or bacteria. The plague's cause was a mystery, blamed on divine wrath or planetary alignment. Per chroniclers like Jean de Venette, your hand grips the blanket, its threads fraying as pain sears through you. The physician's cures useless. Your modern truth antibiotic. Germ theory would crumble here, where ignorance ruled medicine. And yet, the world spun on. As the physician mutters Latin, his voice a low drone, prescribing a potion of ground herbs and wine, its bitter scent rising from a clay cup, per recipes in 14th century apothecary records. The hut's air is stifling, heavy with the tang of smoke from a fire smoldering in the corner, its logs hissing softly. Feel the smooth rim of the cup, its clay cool as you sip, the liquid burning your throat, offering no relief. Per accounts like those of Agnolo di Torre, who buried his children with no cure. Hear the creak of the physician's mask, its beak swaying as he adjusts it, believing it shields him from bad air, a common practice per archaeological finds of plague era artifacts. Smell the faint rot from a nearby alley where bodies lie, unburied, rats scurrying, unseen carriers of the plague. Per modern DNA studies from mass graves, your body shudders, fever rising, as the physician's remedies fail, rooted in a world without microscopes or science. Your modern hope hospitals' vaccines would vanish here, where cures were prayers and potions. On, for a moment, you stumble outside, the air cooler but thick with the stench of decay, the cobblestone path slick under your bare feet, its surface cold and uneven. The physician follows, his robe rustling, urging you to a plague house, a grim shelter for the sick, per municipal records from Florence ordering isolation. Feel the coarse weave of your tunic, its hem frayed as you lean against a wooden cart, its splintered frame creaking, abandoned by a driver now dead. Hear the toll of a church bell, its mournful clang echoing, signaling another burial. Per chronicles noting daily death tolls of hundreds in cities like Siena, smell the faint smoke of burning herbs. Attempt to purify the air, per accounts from the Chronicle of the Grey Friars. Historical evidence, like plague pit excavations, confirms Yersinia pestis spread via fleas, unknown to 1347's healers, who saw only divine punishment, per texts like John of Forden's Scotochronicon. Your hand clutches a rosary, its beads smooth as you stagger, the physician's words offering no hope. Your modern science labs, diagnostics would falter here, where faith was medicine's only guide. And yet the world spun on. As a second physician arrives, his satchel clinking with glass vials, their contents glowing faintly. In the gloom, per apothecary inventories listing mercury and arsenic. Feel the rough straw beneath you, its pricks sharp, as he applies a poultice of crushed herbs to your buboes, its damp texture cold, meant to draw out poison. Per medical manuals like John of Ardern's Fistula in Anno, hear the soft rustle of his parchment as he consults a star chart, blaming Saturn's alignment, a belief widespread per astrological treatises of the era. Smell the metallic tang of the vial he offers, its contents toxic, worsening your fever. Per records of failed treatments in the plague in Paris, the physicians argue, their voices low, over humors, blood, phlegm, bilimbalanced in your body. Per Galen's theories, dominating 1347 medicine, your hand trembles, gripping the mat as their cures hasten your decline, ignorance sealing your fate. Your modern tools, sterile labs, antibiotics, would be alien here, where stars dictated health. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, night falls, the air colder, carrying the faint stench of unburied bodies beyond the village. As you lie alone, the physicians gone, their remedies exhausted, the hut's walls creak, their mud surface damp, as the candle gutters out, leaving only moonlight filtering through a cracked shutter. Feel the coarse blanket, its weight heavy as fever consumes you, your breath shallow. Per accounts like those of Matteo Villani, describing rapid plague deaths in days, hear the distant howl of a dog, its cry mournful, blending with the soft sobs of a neighbor. Per Boccaccio's tales of abandoned families. Smell the faint mold of the straw, its dampness clinging to you as rats scurry in the shadows. Their claws scratching unseen vectors of Yersinia pestis. Per 21st century studies of flea DNA, historical records show 25 million perished with no cure as medieval medicine floundered. Per chronicles like the Historia de Morbo, your hand falls limp, the rosary slipping, its beads cool. As darkness closes in, the era's ignorance, a silent killer, crumble here where knowledge was a fragile prayer. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, reflect on this era, where the Black Death raged through villages, the air thick with decay and the flicker of futile candles. You lie on a straw mat, the physician's mask a fading memory, his cures a whisper of despair in the night's chill. Feel the weight of your tunic, its fabric worn, as you drift the village's wails a distant lullaby. Hear the creak of a world without answers, its people lost to a plague they couldn't name. A world blind to germs, where survival was a miracle, per studies estimating 30 to 50% mortality. Smell the faint smoke of herbs, a vain shield against death, as the physician's failure lingers. Your modern world hospitals, penicillin would falter here, where medicine was myth and prayer. To their struggle, as we move to the next shadow of survival, filthy streets, breeding the plagues spread, and yet the world spun on. For a moment, imagine yourself trudging through a muddy village street in 1347. The air thick with the rancid stench of rotting garbage, its sour tang stinging your nose as you step carefully, your worn leather shoes sinking into the slick, filthy cobblestones. You're a weary villager, your coarse woolen tunic heavy with damp, brushing against your skin as you navigate a narrow alley, its walls caked with grime. The faint drip of an open sewer nearby echoes, its putrid odor mingling with the musty scent of straw scattered on the ground, trampled by passing carts. Feel the rough handle of a wooden bucket, its splintered edge biting your palm as you draw water from a well, its surface clouded with filth. Hear the skitter of rats, their claws scratching in the shadows. Unseen carriers of the Black Death's fleas, per modern DNA studies from 14th century plague pits. This is the world of medieval sanitation, where filth bred disease and cleanliness was a distant dream, fueling the plague's relentless spread. Step into this grim, odorous scene now, and let the gentle rhythm of its tale unfold, revealing why your modern reliance on hygiene would falter in this era of squalor and decay. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, you pause at the edge of the street, the air heavy with the stench of sewage flowing in an open ditch. Its sluggish trickle, a constant hum underfoot, per municipal records from Florence describing unregulated waste in 1347. The cobblestones are uneven, slick with mud and refuse, their surface cold against your shoes, worn thin from daily treks. Feel the coarse weave of your tunic, its hem caked with dirt as you clutch the bucket, its water sloshing, faintly brown, per chronicles like those of Matteo Villani, noting contaminated wells. Hear the creak of a cart, its wheels grinding through muck. As a merchant unloads spoiled vegetables, their rotting smell sharp, attracting rats. Per archaeological finds of rodent bones in medieval dumps. Smell the faint smoke of a nearby fire. Burning refuse in a vain attempt to cleanse the air. Per accounts in Boccaccio's Decameron, historical evidence shows sanitation was non-existent, waste dumped in streets. Rivers fouled, creating a haven for Yersinia pestis, fleas. Per studies from Plagira, mass graves. Your hand grips the bucket, its wood rough. As you move on, the filth inescapable. Your modern comforts clean water, sewers would vanish here, where disease thrived in every corner. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, you weave through the market square, the air thick with the odor of fish guts and stale bread. Their rancid scent mingling with the sweat of crowded vendors. Their shouts a low drone over the squawk of caged hens. The ground is littered with straw and manure, its texture sticky underfoot. Per descriptions in the chronicle of the Grey Friars of overflowing medieval markets. Feel the smooth rim of a clay cup, its surface cool as you sip ale from a stall. Its taste sour, likely tainted from unclean barrels. Per 14th century brewing records. Hear the splash of a chamber pot emptied from a window above, its contents splattering nearby, a common practice per London ordinances failing to curb street waste. Smell the damp rot of a nearby pile of animal hides, their stench drawing flies and fleas. Unseen vectors of the plague. Per 2025 studies linking Yersinia pestis to urban filth. Your hand brushes your tunic, its fabric heavy with grime, as you hurry past, the square a breeding ground for disease. Your modern hygiene flush. Toilets, soapwood, falter here, where filth was life's constant shadow. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, you reach your home, a low timber hut, its mud walls damp, the air inside musty with the scent of moldy straw scattered on the floor. Per archaeological digs of medieval peasant homes, the wooden door creaks, its hinges rusted. As you step inside, the faint light of a rushlight flickering, its smoky tang sharp. Per records of 1347 lighting methods. Feel the rough texture of a wooden bench, its surface splintered as you sit. The bucket of cloudy water at your feet, unfit for drinking, yet all you have. Per chronicles, like Jean de Venet's, noting waterborne diseases. Hear the skitter of rats in the thatch above, their claws scratching, carrying fleas that spread the plague. Per studies of rodent remains in plague-era sites. Smell the faint odor of unwashed linens, piled in a corner, unchanged for weeks. Per accounts of medieval hygiene practices. Historical records show towns lacked sanitation systems, with waste festering in streets, fostering Yersinia pestis. Per plague pit. Your hand rests on the bench, its wood cold, as you sip the tainted water, unaware of its danger. Your modern standards filtered water, waste disposal, would crumble here, where filth was inescapable. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment. Night falls, the air colder, carrying the stench of a nearby midden heap. Its rotting refuse wafting through a cracked shutter. Per municipal complaints in Siena's 1347 records. The hut's straw floor crackles underfoot, its dampness chilling as you lie on a thin mat, its coarse weave pricking your skin. Feel the weight of a woolen blanket, its fibers heavy with grime, offering little warmth against the damp. Hear the distant wail of a neighbor, mourning another lost to the plague, their cries blending with the drip of rainwater leaking through the thatch. Per Boccaccio's tales of daily deaths. Smell the faint rot of food scraps left in a corner, drawing rats closer, their eyes glinting in the dark. Per archaeological evidence of rodent-infested homes. The lack of sanitation, open sewers, unwashed bodies made villages a paradise for fleas. Per 2025 studies linking urban filth to plague spread. Your hand clutches the blanket, its texture rough as fever stirs, the filth around you a silent killer. Your modern life showers, clean streets would falter here, where hygiene was a myth. And yet the world spun on. For a moment you rise at dawn, the air heavy with the stench of sewage drifting from the street, its odor mingling with the faint smoke of a neighbor's fire. Burning garbage. Per chronicles like Agnolo di Turas, describing futile cleansing efforts. The cobblestone path outside is slick with mud, its surface littered with rotting peels. Per archaeological finds of medieval waste layers. Feel the smooth handle of a broom, its wood worn, as you sweep straw from your doorway, a vain attempt to clear the filth. Per accounts of villagers' daily routines. Hear the squeak of a cart, its driver hauling refuse to a river, polluting it further. Per 1347 ordinances failing to regulate waste. Smell the damp earth churned by passing feet, its scent masking the rot beneath where fleas thrive. Per studies confirming Yersinia pestis in soil samples. Historical records show sanitation's absence fueled the plague, killing 30 to 50% of populations. Per chroniclers like the Historia de Morbo, your hand grips the broom, its bristles frayed as you work, the filth overwhelming. Your modern world plumbing, waste systems would vanish here, where disease lurked in every step, and yet the world spun on. For a moment, reflect on this era, where the Black Death thrived in filthy streets, the air thick with rot, and the skitter of rats in the shadows. You lie on your mat, the straws, damp mustiness, a faint comfort, as the village's stench lingers, a reminder of inescapable squalor. Feel the weight of your tunic, its fabric heavy with grime, as you drift, the distant wails fading into a mournful lullaby. Hear the creak of a world buried in filth, its people unaware of the fleas breeding death. Historical records chronicles, waste site digs paint, a world where sanitation was a dream, and the plague a relentless reaper. Per studies estimating millions dead. Smell the faint smoke of burning refuse, a futile shield against disease. As the village's decay surrounds you, your modern life clean water, sewers would crumble here, where filth was a way of life. Let this scene fade, its quiet despair a testament to their struggle, as we move to the next shadow of survival useless. Treatments worsening the plague, and yet the world spun on. For a moment, picture yourself in a dimly lit village hut, 1347, where the air is thick with the sharp, bitter scent of burning herbs, their acrid smoke curling from a clay pot, mingling with the musty Temps straw beneath you. You're a fevered villager, your body trembling, your neck swollen with painful buboes, the coarse wool of your tunic clinging to sweat-soaked skin, its beak stuffed with rosemary, emitting a faint, pungent whiff. Per archaeological finds of plague-era artifacts. His rusty lancet glints in the flicker of a tallow candle, its greasy smoke stinging your eyes as he prepares to bleed you. A common treatment, per Guy de Chauliac's Chirurgia Magna. Feel the rough linen bandage, its weave scratchy as he binds your arm, the metal's cold bite piercing your skin, often worsening the plague's grip, rooted in a time blind to Yersinia pestis. Step into this grim, smoky scene now, and let the gentle rhythm of its tale unfold, revealing why your modern trust in medicine would falter in this era of harmful cures. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, you lie on the straw mat, the air heavy with the stench of your own sweat and the burning herbs, their smoke choking the hut. Per Boccaccio's Decameron describing plague remedies, the wooden walls creak, their mud surface damp, as the physician tightens the bandage, its coarse fibers biting your arm. Per 14th century medical texts advocating bloodletting to balance humors. Feel the sharp sting of the lancet, its edge dull, as blood trickles, weakening you further. Per accounts like Agnolo di Tours, noting patients' rapid decline. Hear the physician's low mutter, reciting Latin prayers. Smell the sour vinegar-soaked cloth he dabs on your forehead, its dampness cold, meant to purge miasma. Per apothecary records of 1347. Historical evidence shows treatments like bleeding and purging, based on Galen's humor theory, hastened death with no knowledge of the plague's bacterial cause. Per 2025 studies of Yersinia pestis DNA. Your hand grips the mat, its straw pricking, as pain surges, the cure a poison. Your modern faith antibiotics, sterile tools would crumble here, where medicine was a deadly guess. For a moment, the physician steps back, his robe rustling, its hem brushing the dirt floor, as he mixes a poultice in a clay mortar, its gritty scrape echoing. Per medical manuals, like John of Ardern's Fistula in Anno, the air grows sharper with the scent of crushed mint and garlic, their pungent mix applied to your buboes, its damp texture cold and slimy. Per 1347 recipes promising to draw out poison. Feel the poultice's weight, its herbs stinging your swollen skin, offering no relief. Per chronicles, like Matteo Villani's, describing failed cures. Hear the soft clink of glass vials in his satchel, filled with mercury-laced tonics, their metallic temps wafting as he offers one. Per apothecary inventories, listing toxic remedies. Smell the faint rot drifting through a cracked shutter, where bodies lie unburied. Per municipal records from Siena, noting overwhelmed burial systems. The physician's treatments, rooted in superstition, worsened the plague's toll. With 25 million dead, per Historia de Morbo estimates. Your body shudders, fever rising as the poultice fails, ignorance guiding each act. Your modern tools hospitals, diagnostics, would falter here, where cures were as deadly as the disease. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, on the mat, the straw crackling, its dampness seeping through as a second healer arrives. The air is stifling, the candle's flame sputtering, casting shadows on the physician's mask, its beak swaying as he scoffs at her methods. Per records of tensions between learned and folk healers, feel the smooth rim of a clay cup, its surface cool, as she offers a potion of boiled nettles, its bitter taste burning your throat. Hear her soft chant, a mix of prayers and old rhymes, blending with the distant toll of a church bell, its mournful clang signaling another death, per Florence's 1347 death logs. Smell the damp wool of her shawl, its musty odor, close as she applies a salve of honey and rue, its sticky texture warm, per folk remedy descriptions. Historical records show such treatments, though gentler, were useless against Yersinia pestis. Per 2025 plague DNA analyzes. Your modern science sterile labs, vaccines, would vanish here, where faith drove healing. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, outside, the air is cooler but thick with decay, the cobblestone streets slick under your bare feet, its surface littered with filth, as you stagger to a plague house, per municipal orders, isolating the sick, like those in Paris's 1347 records. The physician follows, his mask's herbs fading, their scent drowned by the stench of unburied bodies nearby, per Boccaccio's tales of overflowing graves. Feel the rough wood of a cart's edge, its splinters sharp as you lean for support, its driver long gone, per archaeological finds of abandoned plague-era tools. Smell the acrid smoke of a bonfire, burning infected clothes, its heat faint but futile, per chronicles like John of Forden's Scotochronicon. Treatments like burning or herbal masks couldn't stop the plague spread by fleas. Per 2025 studies linking Yersinia pestis to rat vectors. Your hand clutches a rosary, its beads smooth as you enter the house, the physician's cures trailing you like shadows. Your modern care quarantine antibiotics would falter here, where remedies bred despair. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, back in the plague house, the air is heavier, the stench of sickness overwhelming. As you collapse on a straw pallet, its pricks sharp through a thin cloth, per descriptions of makeshift hospitals in Sienna's records. The physician applies leeches, their slimy bodies cold, believing they suck out bad blood, per 1347 medical texts like Bernard de Gordon's Lilium Medicinae. Feel their wriggling, their bite a dull ache, as your strength fades, per accounts of patients weakened by such treatments. Hear the groans of others around you, their voices faint, blending with the creak of wooden beams above, per chronicles, like Gabrielle de Musis's describing crowded death wards. Smell the metallic tang of a tonic forced down your throat, its arsenic-laced burn worsening your fever, per apothecary logs of toxic mixtures. Historical evidence shows these treatments, meant to cure, often killed faster, with no understanding of bacterial infection, per 2025 plague studies. Your body slumps, the palates straw damp as the physician's efforts fail, a testament to medieval medicine's limits. Your modern world's sterile tools, evidence-based care would crumble. Here, where cures were a deadly ritual. For a moment, reflect on this era, where the Black Death claimed lives amid futile treatments, the air thick with herb, smoke, and the flicker of dying candles. You lie on the pallet, the physician's mask a fading specter, his remedies a whisper of pain in the night's chill. Feel the weight of your tunic, its fabric soaked as you drift. The plague house's groans, a mournful lullaby. Hear the creak of a world without cures, its people lost to a plague they couldn't fight. Historical records with 30 to 50% mortality, per studies like the Historia. De Morbo smell the faint vinegar, a vain shield against disease, as the physician's failure lingers. Your modern life hospitals, penicillin would falter here, where medicine was a cruel illusion. Let this scene fade, its quiet despair, a testament to their struggle. As we move to the next shadow of survival, crowded homes, spreading the plague's wrath, and yet the world spun on. For a moment, picture yourself in a narrow, bustling street in 1347, where the air is thick with the sour stench of unwashed bodies and rotting refuse. Its heavy odor pressing against you as you squeeze past villagers, their shoulders brushing yours. You're a weary soul, your coarse woolen tunic clinging to your skin, damp from the press of the crowd. The cobblestones slick and uneven under your worn leather shoes. The timber-framed houses loom close, their mud walls leaning inward, so near you can touch both sides of the alley, per archaeological surveys of medieval urban layouts. Feel the rough weave of a neighbor's cloak, its fibers scratchy as it grazes your arm, the crowd a constant shuffle. Hear the clamor of voices, vendors shouting, children crying, blending with the creak of cartwheels grinding through mud. Per chronicles like Boccaccio's Decameron describing packed towns, smell the faint tang of stale bread from a nearby stall, its crust crumbling in the chaos, where fleas, carrying Yersinia pestis, leap unseen. Per 2025 studies of plagiaria mass graves. This is the world of medieval overcrowding, where cramped homes and teeming streets fueled the Black Death's relentless spread. Step into this chaotic, stifling scene now, and let the gentle rhythm of its tale unfold, revealing why your modern need for space would falter in this era of relentless proximity. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, you push through the market square, the air heavy with the stench of sweat and fish guts, its rancid tents mingling with the smoke of a nearby hearth, per municipal records from Florence noting overflowing markets in 1347. The cobblestones are littered with straw and manure, their texture sticky underfoot, per descriptions in the Chronicle of the Grey Friars. Feel the smooth edge of a wooden stall, its surface worn as you steady yourself. The crowd pressing close, their tunics brushing yours, per archaeological evidence of narrow medieval streets, some only 3 feet wide. Hear the squonk of caged hens, their feathers drifting, blending with the shouts of a baker hawking day-old bread, per accounts of daily urban life. Smell the damp rot of a pile of discarded hides, their odor drawing flies and fleas, vectors of the plague, per studies linking Yersinia pestis. Historical records show towns like Siena housed families of 10 in single rooms, fostering rapid plague transmission, per 1347 census fragments. Your hand grips your tunic, its fabric heavy as you move, the crowd a suffocating trap. Your modern comfort, spacious homes, privacy would crumble here, where closeness bred death. And yet the world spun on. For a moment you reach your home, a low timber hut, its mud walls damp and cramped, the air inside musty with the scent of unwashed linens and straw, per digs of 14th century peasant dwellings. The wooden door creaks, its hinges rusted, as you step inside, brushing against a neighbor sharing your single room, their breath warm, per records of multifamily homes in London's 1347 tax rolls. Feel the rough straw mat, its pricks sharp as you sit, the space so tight your knees touch another's, per descriptions in Matteo Villani's Chronicles. Hear the soft rustle of clothing, the low murmurs of your housemate's 6 maybe 8 crowded. Around a small fire, its smoke stinging your eyes, per accounts of shared hearths. Smell the faint mold of the straw floor, its dampness a haven for rats, their claws scratching in the thatch above, carrying fleas, per 2025 DNA analyses of plague vectors. Overcrowding made isolation impossible, with plague spreading person to person. Per studies estimating 30 to 50% urban mortality. Your hand rests on the mat, its weave coarse, as you huddle, the closeness a silent threat. Your modern space private rooms, open air would vanish here, where bodies pressed too close. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, night falls, the air colder, carrying the stench of a nearby alley, its open sewer trickling. Persiana's 1347 municipal complaints. The hut's walls creak, their mud surface slick, as you lie on the straw mat, its dampness chilling through a thin blanket. Per archaeological finds of cramped living spaces. Feel the weight of the blanket, its wool heavy with grime. As another villager coughs nearby, their breath close, spreading Yersinia pestis droplets. Per 2025 studies on pneumonic plague transmission, hear the soft groans of your housemates, their bodies shifting on the crowded floor, blending with the distant wail of mourners. Per Boccaccio's tales of nightly deaths. Smell the faint rot of food scraps in a corner, drawing rats, their eyes glinting, per evidence of rodent-infested homes. Historical records show families packed into tiny rooms with no space to quarantine, fueling the plague's spread. Per chroniclers like Jean de Vignette, your hand clutches the blanket, its fibers frayed as fever stirs. The crowd's warmth, a deadly embrace. Your modern life social distancing, airy homes would falter here, where closeness was unavoidable. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, you rise at dawn, the air thick with the odor of unwashed bodies as you step outside. The cobblestone street, teeming with villagers, their shoulders brushing yours. Per Florence's 1347 population density records, the houses lean close, their thatched roofs nearly touching. Per archaeological surveys of medieval towns, feel the smooth handle of a water bucket, its wood splintered as you join a line at a well, the crowd pressing, their tunics damp with sweat. Per accounts of shared water sources. Hear the clatter of a cart, its wheels grinding through mud. As a vendor squeezes past, his wares brushing your arm. Per chronicles like Agnolo di Torres describing packed streets. Smell the faint smoke of a fire-burning refuse, its heat futile against the fleas thriving in the crowd. Per 2025 studies linking urban density to plague spread. Overcrowding turned towns into death traps, with no escape from infected neighbors. Per Historia di Morbo estimates of millions dead. Your hand grips the bucket, its weight heavy, as you wait. The crowds press relentless. Your modern freedom open spaces, solitude would crumble here, where proximity was a sentence. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, back in the hut, the air grows heavier, the faint light of a rushlight flickering, its smoky tang sharp. Per records of 1347 lighting methods. The room is stifling, with 8 bodies sharing a space meant for 2. Per tax rolls noting overcrowded tenements. Feel the rough bench, its wood splintered as you sit, your elbow brushing a neighbor's their cough, a soft warning. Per studies of plague transmission in close quarters. Hear the skitter of rats in the thatch, their claws scratching, carrying fleas that leap to your tunic, per archaeological evidence of rodent remains. Smell the damp straw, its moldy scent clinging as a child nearby whimpers, fevered, per Boccaccio's accounts of families struck together. Historical records show overcrowding amplified the plague, with entire households dying in days, per chroniclers like the Skoda Chronicon. Your body aches, the closeness suffocating as the plague creeps through. The room unstoppable. Your modern world's spacious homes, isolation would falter here, where every breath was shared, every touch a risk, and yet the world spun on. For a moment, reflect on this era where the Black Death thrived in crowded streets and huts. The air thick with sweat and the clamor of too many lives pressed close. You lie on the straw mat, the warmth of others a heavy weight, their breaths a faint hum in the night's chill. Feel the coarse blanket, its fabric worn as you drift. The village's cries a mournful lullaby. Hear the creak of a world without space, its people trapped in a deadly embrace. Historical records chronicles, urban digs, paint a world where overcrowding fueled the plague, claiming 30 to 50% of towns, per studies like the Historia de Mo. Smell the faint rot of the straw, a haven for fleas, as the crowd's danger lingers. Your modern life privacy, open rooms, would crumble here, where closeness bred death. Let this scene fade, its quiet despair a testament to their struggle, as we move to the next shadow of survival. Weak bodies, unable to fight the plague, and yet the world spun on. For a moment, picture yourself in a dim village kitchen, 1347, where the air carries the faint, musty scent of stale bread, its crust hard and crumbling on a wooden table, its surface rough under your trembling fingers. You're a weary villager, your body gaunt, your coarse woolen tunic loose against ribs that jut from hunger, the chill of the dirt floor seeping through your worn leather shoes. A small fire crackles in the hearth, its weak glow casting shadows, the smoke stinging your eyes as you break the bread, its texture gritty with chaff, per 14th century peasant diet records. Feel the smooth rim of a clay bowl, its surface cold, holding thin gruel, its watery scent barely masking the mold of spoiled grain. Per chronicles, like Agnolo di Turris, noting famine's grip. Hear the soft groan of your stomach, a constant ache, blending with the distant coughs of neighbors. Their frailty, a mirror of your own, per bioarchaeological studies of malnourished plague victims. This is the world of the Black Death, where weak immune systems, battered by hunger and hardship, crumbled under Yersinia pestis's assault. Step into this sparse, weary scene now, and let the gentle rhythm of its tale unfold, revealing why your modern strength would falter in this era of frailty and want. And yet the world spun on. For a moment you sit at the table, the air heavy with the damp chill of the hut, its mud walls sweating, per archaeological digs of medieval peasant homes. The fire sputters, its logs damp, offering little warmth, per 1347 records of scarce firewood in villages like Siena. Feel the coarse weave of your tunic, its fibers frayed as you sip the gruel, its thin broth barely filling the hollow ache. In your gut, per dietary studies showing peasants subsisted on 1,500 calories daily, half modern standards. Hear the creak of the wooden bench, its surface worn, as your family 3 others Equally gaunt share the meager meal, their breaths shallow, per chronicles, like Matteo Villani's, describing starvation's toll. Smell the faint rot of a sack of grain in the corner, its contents spoiled by damp, a common issue. Per harvest failure reports of 1346 to 47. Bioarchaeological evidence from plague pits shows skeletons with signs of rickets and scurvy. Weakening immunity against Yersinia pestis. Per 2025 studies, your modern diet protein vitamins would vanish here where starvation ruled. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, you step outside, the air colder, carrying the sour stench of a nearby midden heap, its rotting refuse wafting. Per municipal records from Florence noting uncollected waste, the cobblestone path is slick with mud, its surface uneven. Under your shoes, their soles thin from months of toil. Per accounts of peasant labor in the Chronicle of the Grey Friars. Feel the rough handle of a wooden hoe, its splintered edge biting your palm as you trudge to a field, your body aching from dawn to dusk work. Per 1347 manorial rolls detailing serf duties. Hear the distant clang of a church bell, its toll signaling another plague death. Per Boccaccio's Decameron noting daily burials. Smell the damp earth, its scent heavy as you dig, your strength fading. Per bioarchaeological data showing stress fractures in peasant bones from overwork, chronic hunger and labor left bodies defenseless, with immune systems unable to combat the plague. Per studies estimating 30 to 50% mortality. Your hand trembles, the hoe heavy, as fever stirs, frailty your silent foe, your modern health rest. Nutrition would falter here, where exhaustion was life's rhythm. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, back in the hut, the air grows thicker. The straw floor crackles underfoot, its dampness chilling as you lie on a thin mat, its straw pricking through a worn blanket. Per archaeological finds of peasant bedding, feel the blanket's coarse wool, its weight scant against the cold as a cough racks your chest, a sign of lingering illness. Per studies of tuberculosis in medieval remains, hear the soft wheeze of your child nearby, their body curled on the mat, weakened by worms or dysentery. Common ailments. Per 14th century medical texts, like Bernard de Gordon's Lilium Medicinae, smell the faint mold of the straw, its dampness fostering fleas, unseen carriers of Yersinia pestis. Per 2025 DNA analyses from plague graves. Historical records show malnutrition and chronic diseases ravaged populations, leaving them vulnerable to the plague. Per chroniclers like Jean de Vignette, your body shivers, too weak to resist. The mat's chill deepening your fatigue. Your modern care hospitals supplements would crumble here, where frailty was universal. And yet the world spun on. For a moment you rise, the air heavy with the stench of unwashed bodies as you shuffle to the village well. Its stone rim slick with moss, per accounts of shared water sources in 1347. The cobblestones are littered with refuse, their texture sticky, per archaeological evidence of urban waste layers. Feel the smooth rope of the well's bucket, its fibers frayed as you pull, the water cloudy, tainted by runoff. Per chronicles like Gabriel de Musis, noting contaminated wells. Hear the chatter of villagers, their voices hoarse from hunger, crowding the well. Per Florence's 1347 population records. Smell the faint tang of sour milk from a nearby stall, its curds spoiled, a rare protein source. Per dietary studies of scarce dairy, malnutrition weakened immune systems with diets lacking vitamin C and iron, per biogeological analyses showing anemia in plague victims. Your hand grips the bucket, its wood damp as you drink, the water bitter, your body too frail to fend off Yersinia pestis. Your modern abundance fresh produce, clean water would vanish here, where hunger was a constant shadow. And yet, the world spun on, for a moment. Night falls, the air colder, carrying the stench of a nearby alley, its open sewer trickling. Persiana's 1347 municipal complaints. The hut's walls creak, their mud surface damp, as you lie on the mat. Feel the thin blanket, its wool threadbare, as your body aches, bones sore from years of labor, per skeletal. Evidence of arthritis in 14th century remains. Hear the soft coughs of your housemates, their bodies frail, blending with the distant wail of mourners, per Boccaccio's tales of nightly deaths. Smell the faint rot of a turnip, half-eaten in a corner, drawing rats, their claws scratching, per studies of rodent vectors in plague spread. Historical records show weakened populations, ravaged by hunger and disease, fell swiftly to the plague. Per chroniclers, like the Scotochronicon, your hand falls limp, the blanket slipping, as fever consumes you, your immune system too broken to fight. Your modern strength vaccines rest would falter here, where frailty was life's foundation. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, reflect on this era where the Black Death preyed on weakened bodies, the air thick with hunger and the faint crackle of dying fires. You lie on the straw mat, the gruel's thin memory a hollow comfort as the village's coughs fade into a mournful lullaby. Feel the weight of your tunic, its fabric loose on a frail frame as you drift, the cold seeping deep. Hear the creak of a world of want, its people too weak to resist the plague's wrath. Historical records chronicles, skeletal remains, a world where malnutrition and exhaustion claimed millions, per studies like the Historia de Morbo, estimating 25 million dead. Smell the faint mold of the straw, a silent partner to your frailty, as hunger's grip lingers. Your modern life-balanced meals, medical care would crumble here, where weakness was a way of life. Let this scene fade, its quiet despair, a testament to their struggle, as we move to the next shadow of survival chaos, tearing communities apart. And yet, the world spun on, for a moment. Imagine yourself standing alone in a deserted village street, 1347, where the air carries the bitter scent of smoke from distant plague pyres, their faint crackle a mournful hum in the twilight. You're a weary villager, your tattered woolen tunic damp against fevered skin, the cobblestones cold and slick under your worn shoes, strewn with broken pottery, per archaeological finds of abandoned medieval towns. The timber houses stand silent, their shutters creaking in the breeze, per Boccaccio's Decameron tales of fleeing families. Feel the rough grain of a wooden staff, its splinters biting your palm as you lean for support, your voice hoarse, calling into the void, unanswered. Hear the soft wail of a lone mourner, their cry piercing the stillness, blending with the skitter of rats, unseen carriers of Yersinia pestis. Per 2025 studies of plague vectors, smell the faint rot of an abandoned cart, its spoiled grain drawing flies, per records of disrupted markets. This is the world of the Black Death, where society crumbled, leaving you isolated amid panic and loss. Step into this bleak, quiet scene now and let the gentle rhythm of its tale unfold, revealing why your modern reliance on community would falter in this era of chaos. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, you shuffle through the village, the air thick with the sour stench of decay, wafting from an alley where bodies lie unburied. Persiana's 1347 records of overwhelmed burial systems. The cobblestones are littered with refuse, their surface sticky, per archaeological evidence of neglected streets. Feel the coarse weave of your tunic, its hem frayed, as you knock on a neighbor's door. Its wooden planks silent, the family gone, per chronicles. Like Matteo Villani's describing deserted towns, hear the creak of a loose shutter, its hinges rusted, banging softly, a lonely echo in the once lively street, per accounts of abandoned villages. Smell the damp straw scattered on the ground, its musty odor masking the rot, a haven for fleas. Per studies linking Yersinia pestis to urban neglect, historical records show the plague-shattered communities, with 30 to 50% mortality isolating survivors. Per the Historia di Morbo, your hand grips the staff, its wood rough, as you stand alone. The village's warmth vanished. Your modern support friends, systems would crumble here, where fear broke every bond, and yet the world spun on. For a moment, you reach the market square, now eerily quiet, the air heavy with the tang of rotting produce, its sour scent, lingering where vendors once thrived, per Florence's 1347 market logs, noting trade collapse. The cobblestones are scattered with broken barrels, their splinters sharp, per finds of disrupted commerce. Feel the smooth rim of a clay jug, its surface cool, left by a fleeing merchant, per the chronicle of the Grey Friars. Hear the faint squeak of a cartwheel, stuck in mud, its driver vanished, per Jean de Venet's Tales of Empty Streets. Smell the faint smoke of a distant pyre, burning infected clothes, a futile act, per Venice's municipal orders. The plagues. Panic drove families to flee, abandoning the sick, per Boccaccio's accounts of severed ties. Your hand brushes the jug, its clay chipped, as you call out, your voice lost in the silence, the community gone. Your modern network's emergency services, neighbors would vanish here, where fear left only solitude. And yet the world spun on. For a moment, back in your hut, the air is stifling, the faint glow of a rushlight flickering, its smoky tang sharp, per 1347 lighting records. The mud walls creak, their surface damp, as you sink onto a straw mat, its pricks sharp through a thin blanket, per digs of peasant homes. Feel the blanket's coarse wool, its fibers heavy, as you lie alone, your family fled or dead, per Tura's chronicles of parents abandoning children. Hear the rustle of the straw, its dampness hosting rats, their claws scratching in the thatch, per 2025 studies of plague vectors. Smell the faint mold of the mat, its odor clinging as a neighbor's cough echoes, their door barred, per tales of isolated households. Historical records show social disruption left no aid, with clergy and kin fleeing, per Gabrielle de Musas. Your hand clutches the blanket, its weave frayed as fever grips you, alone in the dark. Your modern safety hospitals, community would falter here, where abandonment was survival's price. And yet, the world spun on. For a moment, Night falls, the air colder, carrying the earthy rot of a nearby plague pit, its stench drifting through a cracked shutter per Siena's 1347 burial records. The hut's straw floor crackles, its dampness chilling as you rise, your body weak per biocheological evidence of plague victims' frailty. Feel the smooth beads of a rosary there would warn as you pray. The village's silence heavy per Boccaccio's tales of abandoned faith. Hear the distant howl of a dog, its cry blending with the creak of empty houses per the Scotochronicon. Smell the faint wax of a dying rushlight, its flame fading, left by a fleeing villager per records of disrupted life. The plague's chaos. Dissolved trust with neighbors barring doors per 1347 Chronicles, estimating 25 million dead. Your hand trembles, the rosary slipping as you stagger outside, the street a shadow of its past. Your modern world organized aid, social bonds would crumble here, where fear left only echoes, and yet the world spun on. For a moment, reflect on this era where the Black Death tore villages apart, the air thick with smoke and the silence of deserted streets. You lie on the straw mat, the huts chill a faint comfort as the village's cries fade into a mournful lullaby. Feel the weight of your tunic, its fabric torn as you drift, loneliness a heavy cloak. Hear the creak of a world without ties, its people scattered by panic. Historical records chronicles, burial pits paint, a world where social collapse left millions alone, per studies like the Historia de Morbo noting 30 to 50% mortality. Smell the faint rot of the straw, a witness to abandonment as the plague's chaos lingers. Your modern life community support would crumble here, where fear broke every bond. Let this scene fade, its quiet despair, a testament to their struggle, as we reflect on the Black Death's relentless toll. And yet the world spun on for a moment.